Hello everyone, I wanted to do something a little bit different for you today, and I want to show you exactly how I would lift and sculpt the face, because I know there's a lot of information out there and usually it's people just drawing lines on their face, but there's slightly more to it, so let's do that. Just before we continue with today's video, let me say a huge thank you to today's sponsor, and that is the wonderful Skillshare. Now, you have probably heard me talk about Skillshare before, one, because I love them, but two, because I think it perfectly fits in with me and my content, my love for educating, my love for education, my love for constant education, and I feel like you at home who watch my videos love learning something new, love experiencing new things, so Skillshare is going to be the most perfect thing for you. Skillshare is an online platform with thousands of online classes for you to take that go from everything. I have done fixing my camera to lighting to drawing on my iPad. There is something on there for you. So for those of you who don't know, social media, YouTube is kind of a family business between me and my brothers. And from talking to them about editing videos, I realize I don't really know much. I use Final Cut Pro to edit my videos, and I just stroll through doing what I can, waiting to get to the end to finish a video. For me, editing a video is the most boring part of being a YouTuber, and I kind of figured out it's because I don't know how to make the most of the platform I'm using to edit my videos. Not the platform, software, hardware. And let's be real, Final Cut Pro isn't the cheapest thing to have, but I use it almost every day. So I found the most perfect class to kind of fix this situation for me. It's called Video Editing with Final Cut Pro X from Beginner to YouTuber. It's by Ali Abdaal, doctor, and YouTuber. Now this class covers everything. Which is what I need. It's sometimes we get into this thing where we feel like we're doing the most basic, or maybe we've been using it for a long time. We must be advanced. And then I realize I don't even know the keyboard shortcuts to how to trim a clip or all this other stuff. And this whole class in all is, I think it's about 3 hours, which really isn't that much time when I split it up into my free time. Because using Final Cut Pro has really become part of my everyday life, because it is my job. At the beginning, it was fun. It was a fun thing to do. And now it's just become work. So it can get a little bit tiresome. So learning something new like this inspires me a little bit more, gives me a little bit more drive behind something. That's why I always say, especially in makeup, if you ever stop learning, you're done. You need to learn something new all the time, or keep learning, or keep wanting to improve to feel inspired and to carry on doing what it is you love or what you do on the daily. So if you want to learn something new, brush up on an old skill, or learn something maybe you thought about doing but haven't quite given yourself a push yet, Skillshare is the perfect place to do it. And especially now, because for a limited time only, you can use my link down below in the description box for 50% off your Skillshare subscription. So this really is a chance to take advantage of some of those Black Friday sales, learn something new, improve on your skills. Tired of buying makeup? Invest in your knowledge. It's something different. It's something new. We're going right into a new year. Start a new hobby. Start a new career. Start doing something. Don't quit your jobs. But do. So go ahead and use that link. Thank you so much again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And let's get right back into it. We're going to be using these color fluids from Hindash Cosmetics. This isn't an advert for them. I just really wanted to use them because I received them that morning. This is the shade Carve, and I thought it was perfect to show a good contour shade. I'm going to do it quite heavy, sorry that's my email, so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm going to start off carving out the eyes, just like I would a transition shade for eyeshadow. But you can see I'm kind of lifting it up towards the hairline. One thing I'm going to do with every bit of contour shading that I do, I'm always going to aim for the same place. Now when I go up around the hairline at the top here, you can see that I'm starting from the arch of my eyebrow. This is going to be a significant point throughout the contouring, the kind of forehead area when we want to lift, because lifting that arch even further by contouring from that point gives you more of a lift, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So again, this side, I'll show you exactly the same. Heading into the hairline, right into that hairline, you can blend it in as much as you want or as little as you want. And then taking it through the socket, you'll notice that I don't go all the way into the nose because that will bring the face down a little bit. Again, going from that arch of the brow and then almost curving and swooping up to join my hairline, so we're left with this shape. Now this is going to lift because it's lifting all those key points, the outside corner of the eye and the arch of the brow. And when those are lifted, your whole face looks lifted, basically. Now we're going to make this even more strong, even more intense for lift by adding comparison to something lighter. When you contour and highlight, you need comparison for one to work, one or the other, you know what I mean? In terms of lifting. Now, I was just kind of measuring out where the contour, sorry, I was watching Dog the Bounty Hunter on my iPad, so I keep looking that way. I was measuring out where the point of my first contour I did for my eyes and the point where my cheek contour are going to meet. Can you see? And I've left this area for highlight. I am cutting off my cheekbone up the top there to add structure and lift that cheekbone even more, but still giving a really swooped down look. Now I'm just going to use a concealer that's a little bit lighter than my skin tone, and I'm tapping this in with my finger. And I'm going to go over the edges of both of those contours. And this is where you can kind of decide how rigid you want to make that line. Obviously, if you keep it quite strong, it does look quite theatrical. You know, it kind of looks like lines on the face. Looks great on camera, not so much in real life. So if you're going for a real life lift, not so good. You can actually see in my hair where all those lines are meeting. Can you see I've kind of gone into my hair? And you can see the different points and how they're all meeting each other. You almost want to imagine like an invisible dot up in your hairline and everything is being dragged up towards that dot. And I'm using my fingers just to easily tap them in. I feel like the textures are so much nicer when you use a finger in terms of concealer, just because it sits nicer. It looks more like part of your skin. Notice how I'm not bringing anything into the middle of the face. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm going to use this shade. This is called Heartist, and I'm using it as my blush. I'm feeling for my cheekbone, where my cheekbone actually is, and I'm going to go on the top, like cusp off that cheekbone, but not all the way up. So it's almost like half in between our contour, half in between our highlight, and which of course you can add another highlight on top. And I'm using quite a bit here, but this product is very pigmented by the way, and actually it lasted a really long time. It's a beautiful product. And I'm tapping that into that one area. As I mentioned, notice how I'm not bringing it down past, if I was looking straight forward, it's not going past the colored part of my eye. It's staying to the outer part of my face. We want all that lifting and all that shading and all that color to be on the upper outer points of our face. I'm just kind of bouncing the brush here, so I'm still blending but not actually moving around. I'm gonna take a deeper tone of contour now, and this is the shade Fawn, and I'm only doing 3 tiny dots, and I'm going to keep that right up in that little area there. So if we're thinking about contour and structure, it's usually made by a shadow. So this is where I'm adding deeper shadow and deeper shade, oh sorry, I don't have to my voice there, to that contour. So you can see at the side there, you can see how deep that one area is. It's almost like the darkness and the shadow is concentrated in that hollow of a cheekbone. That isn't actually where the hollow of my cheekbone is, but I'm adding it so it looks like it, you know, that's what contour is. It's mimicking bone structure and the shadow of bone structure. Why am I laughing at Dog the Bounty Hunter? There's nothing funny about Dog the Bounty Hunter. Okay. Now I'm adding a bit to my temples, but more on the line of, can you see how I've lined it up diagonally with the arch of each eyebrow? I'm using a tiny bit because this product actually goes quite far. I kind of learned from here, and I'm going to follow still that line that we did before, but not blend it out as much. Before I blended it out so it was faded and diffused across the forehead. Now I'm adding, we're using this darker shade, darker tone to add precision to that contour and to that lift. So we're really focusing where that shadow is going to be. And although a big part of contouring and shading is to draw pretty much lines in your face, you need highlight and depth to complement each other. So the highlight looks lighter than the depth, you know what I mean? So for my eyes, I'm almost gonna do like eyeliner, and this is with the same shade I was using before, but aim for the tail of my brow. Now, if your brows come further down than the outside corner of your eye, obviously don't do that because that will bring your eye down. Just head upwards in the same direction that your contour was going before. This is gonna be blended out, really diffused. But you can do this with your eyeshadow or whatever your eyeshadow shape is going to be. Then this is this is the direction you want to start going in. I'm going to leave that line there just so you can see the direction, and I'll show you on the other side a blended version. Did I do that? I can't remember. That was my plan in my brain. So I'm going to blend this out so you can see I'm heading through the tail of my brow, like I do with a lot of my eyeshadow looks really, just to kind of lift, and then almost making like a diagonal line on my eyelid, almost going downwards. I always call it like a cheese triangle on the eyelid, and taking a tiny bit through the socket, but not too much, because again, we don't want to add any shape to the socket. We're kind of adding all the shape to the outside corner. If we were to bring that eyeshadow inwards to the nose, towards the nose, we're then kind of turning down everything else. So can you see? I got a little bit of concealer on my brush. I didn't really show that. And I'm putting a little bit of light directly under the arch of my brow, a tiny, tiny bit, and no further. And we're gonna really blend this in with a lot of precision, and be really, really precise about where we're blending and tapping that color. We want the glow of that highlight, or the main brightness of that highlight, to stay on the arch of the brow. So I'm very, very gently, I'm being really light-handed here, just buffing around the edges, just so we have this look. We want that still very concentrated, highlighted patch. And I'm not blending it all the way down. If we were to blend it all the way down to the end of a brow, again, it will bring our eyebrows down. So I'm still keeping it very concentrated there. I'm using, this is the Hindash palette, and I'm actually gonna use the lighter powder in the whole palette and tap that on top of that light area just to make it look a bit softer. Sometimes concealer on the face can look exactly like that, just concealer on the face. So can you see I'm tapping it in? I'm using fingers, I'm using very light fluffy brushes, and just really tapping it in. I'm then taking more of a yellowy, did I take the yellow one? I can't remember. I usually use the yellow one from the Beautopsy palette. And I'm tapping that on the areas where I've highlighted previously. This isn't baking. We are using tiny, tiny amounts of powder at a time just to brighten those particular areas. And I'm taking it all the way down the corners and sides of the nose where we've kind of missed out where any contour, any color, anything like that. So we have that glow in the middle. It then kind of makes it, as terrible as it sounds, the middle of our face come forward, and it further pushes back, I choked on my words, the rest of the face. Just buffing everything in. That is pretty much it. So if you follow those instructions, be very precise of where you're putting your contour and your highlight. It's easy to make your face look pulled up, you know what I mean? Thank you so much for joining me. That was a quick one. You guys always ask for more tutorials, so that's what I try to do here, a little bit more in depth, but also super quick, because I know we all have very short attention spans now. Do consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.